All right. So I want to give a shout out to Nick Cruse from Revolutionary Blackout Network. He recently showed up on Briahna Joy Gray's show, and I want to give him a full on salute and shout out for doing a job well done because this kind of relates back to an earlier subject that we talked about on today's show, and that is David Hogg being kicked out the Democrat Party. All right. And first, I want to pull up this tweet from Easy Street. A 1, 2, 3. Nobody rigs, interferes, or meddles in their own elections more than the DNC. The party that claims it's going to save democracy actually hates democracy. And who better way to break it down than my fellow colleague, ally, friend, Nick Cruse from RBN, Revolutionary Blackout Network. Let's play this video.
Nick, I want to ask you about this clip that's been ruling the left and the anti-genocide community online for the last few days. It's a clip of Bernie Sanders.
There is no doubt that Hamas, a terrorist organization, began this terrible war with its barbaric October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel. Clearly, Israel, as any other country that was so attacked, had the right to defend itself against Hamas.
Some people now, of course, Nick, say, look, Bernie is right. It's fair for him to want to have that preamble. What do you say to him? What do you say to those people?
That's nothing but disgusting pro-genocide propaganda. And this is what Bernie Sanders and AOC does. They exist to dumb down the left. They exist to shift what it means to be a socialist to the right. So he claims that he cares about Palestinian people, but Hamas is filled with Palestinians. Do you guys know the majority of Hamas, around 80 to 90% of them, are orphans? People who have been orphaned by the Israeli regime. Why is it acceptable to dehumanize these people who are just militia fighters fighting for their state? So Israel has blocked the creation of the Palestinian state that was outlined by the UN Charter. And guys, trust me, Bernie Sanders knows everything I'm about to tell you right now. He is a propagandist for the Zionist regime. The creation of Israel was contingent on the creation of a Palestinian state, something that the Israel and the Likud party is openly bragging about blocking. They just had a vote, another one of many in the Israeli parliament that say they will never, ever recognize, and it passed overwhelmingly, the creation of the Palestinian state.
And yet you had Bernie Sanders and AOC and Democrats say, no, there's going to be a two-state solution. Listen, water and oil mixing, not going to happen, unfortunately. And you know what? Here's the thing. The Democrats, like people like AOC and Bernie, you know what they do? They want to build up that hopium copium. They want everyone to feel happy. They want everyone to feel comfortable. They want everyone to think that, oh, yes, if you just support us, oh, we'll make sure this happens. No, it's all a way to get fundraising. You think any of that money that people donate to the Democrats is actually going to donate to, I don't know, Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, a woman's right to choose, or either that, protecting anyone in Gaza? No. Democrats won't do that. That money's going into their hip back pocket. That's why the Democrats want to have those fight the oligarchy tours, but they need to handle two different distractions. First of all, David Hogg's little insurrection, and of course, it's probably more of a nuisance, like a little fruit fly, but even Rebellion PAC, because fight the oligarchy, that's going to be their cash cow to get people who are easily traumatized by Trump or fearful of Trump. And look, listen, the policies that Donald Trump has been implementing, especially towards immigrants and going after protesters, it's enough to make anyone scared. Hell, I'm a little bit concerned, okay? I mean, say what you will about the guy, but even Hassan Piker, Cenk's nephew, was also, I don't know, he was caught up. I don't know what the future holds, but somewhere down the road, I feel like I'm going to get a knock at the door. Some guys are going to come charging in. I'm going to be dragged out. Again, worst case scenario. And then that's it. Hey, but everyone has a right to be concerned about this. I'm worried about the future of free speech. I'm worried about the future of us organizing. But there's one thing I do know for certain. AOC and Bernie are not coming to bat for us, because I don't see AOC or Bernie coming out to help out anyone in independent media. I mean, can you imagine all of us in independent media in the cell, and then there's Bernie Sanders like, don't worry, guys, I'm going to get you out. No, Bernie would never do that. Bernie would never do that for any one of us. Okay? It's all about fear and control. Why do you think there was a censorship machine, a censorship apparatus during the Biden-Harris administration? To criticize and also silence anyone that was going up against the narrative.
So does Bernie do he believe that the Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves and have the right to self-determination? Because since Israel is illegally, because the UN has demanded that Israel facilitate the creation of a Palestinian state, but they refuse to. So Israel is out of compliance with international law. They are a rogue terrorist state. That's not me being radical. That is what the UN is stating, because Israel is blocking the creation of a Palestinian state. So if you're a Palestinian, you have the right enshrined in international law to engage in the resistance against the apartheid state that is preventing your right to self-determination. But Bernie Sanders believes that any Palestinian who take up their legal right to take up arms against Israel deserve to die. Bernie Sanders claims to care about Palestinians, but all the Palestinian orphans, the people had nowhere to go. No other choice but to oppose their criminal oppressors. Bernie Sanders wants them dead.
One other thing here, too. I want to pull this out here because this is also has to deal with David Hogg himself. And shout out again to Nick Cruse and Briahna Joy Gray. This was a bad pause. Sorry, Briahna. Sorry, Briahna Joy Gray.
As we can see, and I want to talk about this with you, from the Democratic Party's reaction to David Hogg, I've been loving this story.
Yes.
So to set it up just briefly, David Hogg is of course the DNC vice chair. He was a survivor of the Parkland shooting who became a Democratic Party darling, but who now is the bête noire of the Democratic Party, having said he was going to support the super PAC that is going to challenge incumbents. Most recently, he has Bakari Sellers lashing out against him for saying that elder statesmen, including folks like Jim Clyburn, need to get out of the way. Jim Clyburn, of course, the number one recipient of pharmaceutical dollars in Congress, who handed the election to Joe Biden with his endorsement in South Carolina. What did you make of this?
I'm greatly loving this story as well, Bree. It's a great advertisement for third parties, isn't it?
I love when the new generation.
I have to agree. All right, look. But again, with the thing with third parties, I just got to be clear on this, because perhaps my criticism of third parties might be a little harsh. But after doing this now for 8 years in these trenches, hang on, because I'm not feeling it. Hang on. 8 years in these trenches, 8 years just fighting, 8 years of just dealing with this. Is there a potential for third parties to rise up? It is. It's just going to be a long and arduous march. It's going to be an uphill fight. It's going to be unapologetic. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be something that's going to take the toll on everyone and everything. I'm urging everyone to consider this, especially as we push forward. Third parties need to get themselves organized. That goes for the Greens. This goes for the Libertarians. This goes for everyone. And, I've had some conversations with good friend of the show, No Soundbites. Shout out to my friend Mike, about third parties. And, if there's a lack of will from people, then they will go to something that they're more comfortable with, like the Republican Party or Democrat Party. And that's a mindset that people have to break immediately.
I was a new liberal, thought I knew more.
Apologies for that, folks.
Advertisement for third parties, isn't it?
I love when
the new generation, the new generation of liberals, and I was one of them at one point, right? During 2008, 2009, I was the new liberal, thought I knew more than the communists and the socialists who was warning me about Barack Obama, because it was there, but I was smug and arrogant, the same way that RBN, the same way in that bad faith, they view us as smug know-it-alls because we tell them that you can't organize within the Democrat Party. They're like, we will show you guys. We will organize and we will get the Democrat Party to support our agenda. They join the party and they are immediately beaten down. And then you have a few options from there. You either take the Juliana Oliver. I forgot her name. The DNC Gen Z.
Yeah.
Juliana
Yeah.
something. I forgot her last name. You either take her
Oliviana, I
route.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot her name. You either take her route after you're broken because she used to pretend to be a progressive. She was, I'm a progressive. Now she's full genocide supporter because it took her like 2 years to get beat up by the
Yep.
party. So you get
Yep.
forced to either become Pete Buttigieg style centrist, or you continue to fight and you get expelled from the party. You become persona non grata in the party. It happened to you, it happened to many people who refuse to sell out in the Bernie movement. And that is what we are seeing happen to David Hogg, where he said something that is completely reasonable. Like he's not even taking like my positions on these issues. I'm trying to be
Right.
very nice to David here. He's saying that we need a better Democratic Party by replacing the old neocons with young neocons. That's essentially his position. Why I see it. We need younger neocons. We need a younger Alyssa Slotkins and those kind of people. That infuriates the Bakari sellers of the DNC, the people who've been in the DNC for a long time, who climbed the ranks. They worship um, the seniority status quo of the Democratic Party. So the idea of David Hogg questioning a Jim Clyburn is grossly offensive because obviously they mix identity politics in that as well. Because Jim
Right.
Clyburn is a man who can't be criticized by liberals, especially white liberals, God forbid.
Right.
Even though Jim
Right.
Clyburn hasn't done anything for the Black community,
That's the thing. I want to pause here because there's a rest of the full video, and I encourage everyone to check out Nick Cruse interview with Briahna Joy Gray. And I'm so proud of his work and what he's done. Shout out to Rome. Shout out to Savvy Sabs. Once again, shout out to Nick Cruse. And you know what? A real special shout out to JB, who has been such a outstanding voice of reason in this entire media space. He's one of the dauntless few. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, he deserves a full salute from the Highlands media community. So shout out to JB. Much love to him. But, you know, when we look at the entire Democrat Party, I mean, it's unraveling right before our very eyes. And people gave this warning. You know, if we look before the rise of everybody else in independent media, before Hard Lens Media, before Due Dissidents, before INN, before RBN, before everybody, you know, if we look back to 2016, way back when TYT was the only game in town, you know, Jimmy Dore did give this warning to Democrats, and he said that, look, if Democrats fail to listen to their voters, they will walk away, and people are walking away. I mean, the Democrat Party is only now using AOC and Bernie as their last-ditch attempt to get people to be suckered into, once again, supporting this two-party system that doesn't have our best interest at heart. I mean, how many times do we need to repeat ourselves over and over again? The Democrats don't care. 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 They don't care. They don't care. They never did. And that's the great sadness of it all. The Democrats just don't care. And so when we criticize the Democrats, we're made into villains. When we criticize the Democrats, we're the bad guys. But it's okay to criticize them. It's okay to question them. It's okay to stand up against them. And it is okay to be aggressive. Because when you see a pattern get repeated over and over again, you have to say to yourself, why should I waste my time for a political party that doesn't give a damn about the people? Simple as that. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's talking about it. So it's the truth of it. And the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on.